Hello everybody, Burnt Church here. I'm over here on the creek today and I thought I'd bring you along with me. I was over here just more or less piddling around and trying a few things out that I had in my mind. I brought something here I was going to show you that's real important if you're in the right situation. Now, most of the time you're not going to need it, but if you're in the right situation, it could be life or death. My mess kit. But now this is not just a empty mess kit. I've built it towards a survival mess kit, or if you get stranded out and have to stay overnight, this right here is going to make it a lot more comfortable for you. Now I'm going to show you 3 things that in my opinion should be in any mess kit or survival mess kit. Now I'm not an expert, so you be your own judge about things. Your area, it may be totally different what you need. But in my area, I'll show you the 3 things that I think could make the difference between life and death in your survival kit. And one is this. This is the whole reason I'm doing this video. I was looking for this a few days ago, and I thought it was in my mess kit. Well, it wasn't. It was in another backpack that I had fixed up. But I've got to get me another one of these to put into my mess kit. Now I'm picky about these multi-tools. I've had cheap ones in the past and they won't hold up for me. They might for you. You just have to be your own judge. This is a Leatherman Wave. I've had this probably 10 years. It's been through a lot of camp outs, floating creeks, staying a couple of days at a time. It's never failed me. It may break today, but it's never failed me. The weakest point that I found on it is this little saw. Little thin saw. But that saw will cut. It'll cut real good. I worry about breaking it. I've never broke it. I've done a lot of cutting with it. But that's the weakest point that I've found on it. Now they're not cheap, the Leatherman, or at least this Wave wasn't. I think I give something like $80 for it. $70 or $80 10 years ago. But that's one thing that I feel like is a must inside of that. You've got ways to cut, ways to saw. It's got other tools. Alright, let's move on to the next thing. I hope this video don't wind up going too long. I get excited when it comes to stuff like this. I really enjoy putting kits together and using them. I hope I never have to have one, but they're nice to have. Now I'm just doing 3 things out of this. If y'all like it, you can leave it in the comments. We'll go through this whole thing. This is the second thing. A ferro rod and a striker. It don't have to be the Bear Grylls or whatever this is. This was just what was available in my area whenever I got ready to buy it. It does work. This works fine, has worked fine for me. I've used it several times. I'm going to show you something on it that I just found this out. You may know it, but I just found it out. this end pulls off for you to put your tender in the end of it. I didn't know that until just recently. I never used that part of it. That's the second item that I think should have to be in your survival kit. Now this third item, like I said, it's going to depend on your area. Now this ain't Altoids. They used to be in here, but I done ate them. This is hooks and sinkers. I'm going to try to get them out here and show you. Now I've went over these hooks and stuff before in another video. But I don't get the biggest hooks. This one here is a pretty big hook. I try to get these little small hooks. I put 2 of each in there, and I put 4 sinkers. And this here is line that I have rolled up on this. This is fat wood, or what we call here around my area is rich pine. But I have enough line on here. I try to put at least 30 feet of line. Now this is braided line. You could use whatever you have. That's just what I had at the time. But I wouldn't try to put a real heavy line, like a 15, 20, 30 pound, unless it's, well, I wouldn't put a heavy line, period, because in these little creeks here, that heavy line, I think those minnows can see it. And I'll demonstrate here in just a minute on how you catch a fish here in these little branches. Or creeks. This is a creek. But these 3 things, fishing gear, I'm counting line, hooks, and sinker as one item because they go together. Fishing gear, a multi-tool, a good one. In my opinion, don't go cheap on this. This is worth its weight. And a ferro rod. Those 3 things will help you survive just about anywhere in the South. Now, like I said, the fishing, if you're in a desert, you don't need to fish. But we'll move over here and I'll show you how you catch a fish with this equipment here. Come on with me. We'll cut us a fishing pole here and see if we can catch a minnow over there or sun perch. Now you need to cut your pole ever how long you think you'll have to be reaching for the fish. I don't think I'm going to have to be reaching too far here, so I'll get this trimmed up. And I'll be right back with you. Ideally, you want one of these canes cut and dried to use for fishing, but in an emergency situation, unless you can find some dead ones laying on the ground that's still not too bad rotten, you're probably going to use a green one. Now I could take my saw and get these little sharp spurs sawed off smooth, but I'm not worrying too much about that right now. Well, there you go. That's about a 7-foot fishing pole. Let's get the line and hook on it. We'll see if we can catch us fish. Alright, I've got the line tied on here, you can see. I try to leave this knot here at the end that'll help keep your line from coming off. You can leave enough of this line and come on back here and tie again. That way if they break the tip off, you're tied back here and you'll still have your hook. But I'm not worried about it in this situation. I'm just more doing this for demonstration. Now I brought some loaf bread, and you just make a tiny dough ball. Now if you was stranded and didn't have the loaf bread, I would look for a cricket, worm, just pretty much anything that you can put on the end of this hook, something. It doesn't take much. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm just using this dough ball. And I just stick it on the hook. This is actually a hair big, but I think it'll be fine here. Well, we'll see if we can get one. And there you go. That's supper. I didn't edit anything out. You can see it didn't take but a second to get him. I'm gonna get him back in the water before he dies, but there he is. That right there would eat as good as anything you've ever ate if you was out in the woods and hungry. I don't know about you, but I've got a bad habit of eating. And any way I can feed myself when I'm out into the wild, I'm all for it. Give me a second and we'll see if we can get another one. I missed him that time. I'll tell you some tips on catching these fish in these small branches. Is the quieter you can be, the better. And try to get the sun in your favor. Don't let your shadow throw down into the water. There's another one. Let y'all get a look at these minnows and see what you call these. I know what we call them. Now I'm not hurting them no more than I have to. I'm getting him back in the water. But that would be a good meal. Well, this is Burnt Church. I thank you for watching. If you would hit that subscribe button, I'll be doing more things like this in the future. And I hope y'all come along with me. I'll see you in the next one.